Welcome to Maine Concerns, where our news team gives you a closer look at the events that happened around Maine this week.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us. I'm your host, Cindy Campbell. Today we're doing something a little different. Two Bangor area residents, Allison Bankston, who once sat in this chair, and her partner, Gaylen Smith, are well known in the area for their music and theater work. But now they're liveaboard sailors, traveling the East Coast in their boat, the Molly Nogger, with their cat, Ensign Pickles. I caught up to them this week, and we chatted about the mental health benefits of following your dream, how the internet has helped make it possible for them, and how you can follow their journey. Tell us about how you made the decision to become liveaboard sailors.
Well, it was kind of an evolution. We decided one day that we needed to try sailing, and a friend of ours took us out on like a little 2-hour sail on his 30-foot Catalina, and then we decided, we need to do this. I think I kind of always had the idea that we were eventually going to move aboard and cruise. I don't know if that's the same for you.
I don't know. I think, of course, that first time we went out sailing, and I think after that we just fell right in love with it. And then we started watching a lot of YouTube videos of people who were living on their boats and reading people's books, and it just seemed so romantic and exciting and yet also doable. And we started working in that direction pretty early.
And you know what the big appeal for me was the self-sustainability.
Yeah.
I love the idea of I'm going to move aboard this boat. And it really didn't even have to be a boat. I mean, tiny house living is kind of like this too, and RVing. But I'm going to move aboard this boat. I'm going to, for the most part, produce, most of my own energy, things I use, things I need. I'm going to not have to rely on other people for that. And that really appealed to me.
Absolutely. It's exciting to have that freedom of being able to go wherever we want to go within reason. And we have a boat where we have massive solar so that I can cook 3 meals a day. We just made coffee shortly before talking to you, Cindy, and we don't have to be plugged into a dock for that. We're just sitting out on our anchor, enjoying the nice breeze away from land, and it's lovely.
It's really kind of a unique and fun way to live off the grid.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's a nice community of people, too. And I understand, going back to what you were saying before, where we were kind of well-known in the area, and now we're just kind of going into the unknown. But even though it's not the same people all the time, there are a lot of like-minded people going through the same things, having the same issues, having the same fun. And we all stay at the same anchorages and get to know each other, and then you'll break apart and not see them for a while, then you'll get back together, some place down the road. So it is kind of a really neat kind of little community that cruisers have.
And I'll give you an example of a really cool one just recently. There's an organization on Facebook called Women Who Sail, but then there are breakoff groups. I'm a member of a lot of those as we've gone down through those areas. I met a woman through the Women Who Sail New England Facebook page, and we were in a book club together. Well, we were in Elizabeth City last week, and we met up with her. And so, months after meeting her online and talking extensively online about being cruisers, living on our boats and moving around a lot, I had a chance to actually spend part of a week with her, and that was just so amazing.
That is very cool. And online has really become a big part of your lifestyle, correct? Because you also work online.
That's right. Yeah, I'm a part-time editor for Arvada Lifestyle Magazine in Arvada, Colorado. And Gaylen?
I'm a math and physics tutor. I do private tutoring, one-on-one, online, and with college students in high school, and I even have some junior high students now, all over the United States. So it's really fun. I really enjoy that.
How do they find you?
A lot of word of mouth, actually, referrals, and again, online. For the homeschoolers have, different online communities where they talk to each other and share resources, and I'm really happy to be part of it and be able to help kind of fill in gaps, because you can't be an expert on everything, and if your math or science skills are not at the level where you could teach that to a high schooler, I'm glad to be able to come in and help with that, rather than have people struggle and be frustrated and just say, I don't like math.
Right. That's awesome. Now, I remember the journey that you two went through from the time that you got the Molly Nogger to the time that you got it into the water. How long did that take?
It was 3 years. Yeah, it was 3 years. We were hoping for 2, but it took 3.
3, and it seemed like 10, though.
You were talking about being out in the water, and I think it's kind of a romantic notion that you don't really have any overhead. You kind of go where the wind takes you, but it's not all sunshine and roses. You guys had a tough winter, didn't you?
We've had a couple of tough winters, but this last one was especially tough. We decided to come back up to Maine last summer, and had a blast. We played music all over the place, and we just kept booking shows later and later, and we were like, oh, when are we going to leave? When are we going to leave? We need to get going. And then, finally we had to set a cutoff point, and we left. When was that, like mid-September?
Yeah, late September.
Late September. It should have been fine, but we started having some engine issues on our way down, and we got held up 2 or 3 different places, and then we got pinned down by hurricane force winds and a lot of weather issues too.
Yeah, everything just took longer than we wanted it to.
We made it down the Jersey shoreline to Cape May, where we thought we were home free, because from the south tip of New Jersey, it's like a 30-hour sail to Norfolk, Virginia, and the top of the ICW.
Which is the point where we were feeling like we're home free. Like once we hit the Norfolk and the top of the Intercoastal Waterway, we're kind of in the south, right? And so it's like, all right, that's the point where we would feel like, all right, we're good. We're not going to freeze to death. Everything's going to be fine.
So we pull into Cape May, and it wasn't a good sign when we pulled in there and we had to anchor next to a sunken sailboat right next to it. Yeah, in front of the Coast Guard station. So that was our first sign that things were going to. And we went to start the engine because we were waiting for the wind to settle down a bit. And we went to start the engine, and it didn't start. And okay. There was a series of events of me trying to figure what was wrong with it. Eventually, the engine, I got to start it again, but it seized up completely.
It was over the course of like 3 weeks. And during that time, we lost our diesel heater. That stopped working. And it was the early part of December. We were getting blizzards and nor'easters. And there were nights where it was 18 degrees. And we're trying to deal with all of these potential repairs. And none of the marinas in the area were open, and no one would let us come to shore with the boat.
Wow.
So it was honestly kind of scary.
Yeah.
And yet we were anchored right off the Coast Guard station. The Coast Guard was amazing there. The Coast Guard auxiliary leader kind of latched onto us, and he was incredibly helpful and became a very good friend.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
So if you ever wind up in Cape May, Marty, involved with the Coast Guard auxiliary, he's your guy, let me tell you what. But it was actually kind of scary the first few weeks there, and even just to dinghy in with our inflatable dinghy to go to get groceries or stuff. So we're talking about 18 degrees out, and we're dinghying in over a mile in an inflatable dinghy to be able to go get food or anything like that.
And against the current, you're talking 25 minutes.
Not so romantic.
Not so romantic, no. Yeah. So anyways, eventually we found a marina. They were closed, but they let us tie up to their docks. And I did a complete engine swap out on their docks by myself. Well, Marty came over and
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's something that normally, like when we talk to other boaters and we say we did an engine swap out by ourselves, what do you mean? You didn't have the marina do it? You didn't have experts in there hooking it up for you? You didn't have a crane lowering it into the boat?
How
did you get it in? How did you get the old one in? How did you get the old one out? And we used the boom to leverage, the old one out and the new one in. Thank goodness, Gaylen has an engineering background, and he's so handy, because otherwise, I think other people might have just abandoned the boat and gone home. So the first year that we left Maine, so we actually left Maine initially in the fall of 2020. The first year, we were coming down kind of late, and we knew we might not make it all the way down, but anything's warmer than Maine, right?
Right.
So we made it as far as Newport, Rhode Island, and stayed at a marina there, and had a great winter, and it was more like fall in Maine.
Great community there. There's like a community of winter liveaboards, and we made a lot of really great friends. And yeah, not that there weren't some rough times and some bad weather, but we were all in it together, and it was nice.
So to stay in Newport the first year and then be stuck in Cape May the second winter was very disheartening, and it definitely had a dramatic impact on our morale, especially with the cold. I mean, there were a lot of days where this cabin didn't get over 48. And eventually it was fine, but it made us hardier and stronger and more adept sailors. So now that we're at the point where today it's going to be 87 degrees, we're in Belhaven, North Carolina, it's sunny. To be to this point almost makes you want to cry when you think about it.
Yeah.
It's like we finally are down doing what we originally intended to do from the start.
We're hoping to get to 60 today.
We love Maine. We will be back to visit, but we were ready for warm.
Yeah. I think one of the cool aspects is that you're sharing these through social media, right? You're really using social media not only to share your adventures, but also to kind of bolster your spirits sometimes when things are getting tough. Is that a correct statement?
Yeah, I think so. And we're trying to do more of that now that we have, we're not in survival mode anymore.
Right.
We're in
Enjoyment mode.
Enjoyment mode and having fun. And there's more fun things to show. But we made a commitment just recently to ramp up our social media even more and put out at least one song a week on YouTube.
One video a week.
Yeah, one video a week with our original music and kind of show where we are and what we're doing.
We have a very active Facebook page with some really committed people that have watched us through this entire journey and been really engaged. And during the thick of the pandemic, we did a lot of concerts online like everybody who was a musician did. And people were very generous and very kind in helping us keep going. And we want to reward those people now that have followed us on this journey by giving them all the fun stuff to look at and like, oh, they're finally doing it.
Yeah, and we're doing like 1 or 2 lives a week on Facebook too.
Yep, so we're on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, ramping everything up even more. But even if we were only doing it for our friends and family, it's nice to share all of these experiences that we're having. But what we're finding is that for years we watched people's YouTube videos, people who were doing what we're doing now, and we lived vicariously through them and learned from their experiences. And now we're able to return that favor and share some of our experiences, and some people can learn from some of our mistakes and experiences. And in fact, when we were in Deltaville, and there was this great couple that we had watched for years on YouTube, traveling on a boat that's the same brand as ours, an Endeavor, and Maddie and Patrick from that channel that's super active on YouTube and has amazing videos out there about how to do everything. We met them in person. They came down, they took us shopping, they took us out to lunch, and they're living on land right now, and so they really understand what it's like to be out here and how we walk most of the time and bring all of our groceries back on carts and on our backs in backpacks, and everything's just that much harder that you don't think about, that you take for granted when you live on land and have a car. And so we got to meet one of those people that did that for us years ago. So it's cool to be able to do that for other people, too.
And it's really cool because they sat us down. They didn't just buy us lunch. They sat us down. They had their logbooks of going through the Intercoastal Waterway.
Wow.
And she went through every anchorage.
Every stop
with all of their notes, the entire trip from Florida up through Norfolk.
Oh, that's great.
You go talk to this person at the visitor center, they'll give you a ride to the grocery store.
Yeah, it's really cool. And that's the thing, you need that inside knowledge. But I remember, thanking them and saying, wow, I didn't expect you guys to do all this. And they were just saying, look, we're just paying back the community. And we're hoping to do that through our videos.
And there is something really amazing about the cruiser community where you know that, okay, today might be the day that it's 87 degrees and you're sunning yourself with a drink in the cockpit. And tomorrow might be the day that you're out there in the thick of it and your mask gets broken off and, all sorts of horrible things happen and you might be in trouble. And that's how this lifestyle is. It goes from 0 to 60 in a second. From total relaxation to, I've had somebody explain sailing as like, it's so relaxing and we're going to die like 2 seconds later. and unfortunately, that's kind of how it is. It makes the adventure really exciting and wonderful, and it makes the relaxing that much more delicious when it's happening. But we all know that as part of the community. And so when you encounter people who need help or you see somebody who looks like they might be struggling, you make a point of trying to help each other out.
Okay, so what is the best part of living on the water? What's your favorite part of your new lifestyle?
So I'm going to go past saying the things like freedom and stuff and those more kind of abstract ideas and actually try to give an example of the things I do I enjoy the most. I love going out at sunset, and I know this sounds cliche, but, I watch the sunset. I have a beverage and I have my ukulele, and we sit there and we play songs while the sun is setting down. That I really love. I love getting up in the morning and going out. We have we call it cockpit coffee. We go out and the cockpit is, if you don't know, the part of the boat where you steer the boat and your general hangout area. We go up there and we have our coffees in the morning. And sometimes that's a 5-minute operation. Sometimes that lasts until lunch. So, it's whatever we want it to be. And, and I still love the sailing part of it when we get a good sail in and we get the engine shut off on purpose. And, and honestly, that sense of just freedom of just going on the water and hearing nothing but the wind and the water pass you by. There's still a lot of that, even though it's not new to me, is still very exciting.
For me, I agree with everything that Gaylen said, and I enjoy all of that as well. And there are so many ways to answer that, Cindy. I mean, I taught yoga for 6 years, and going out on the bow of my boat at sunset and doing yoga is a spiritual experience.
Wow.
On a nice sunny day. It's just amazing. But honestly, I think my favorite part isn't a specific aspect to being on the water so much as the lifestyle itself. I spent so many years in corporate jobs. I mean, some of them were wonderful, and I had great experiences, but, working 60, 70 hours a week, just killing yourself trying to do what was good for someone else, to actually get to the point where I took a step back, and this was a hard transition, and went on my own time schedule. So even though I have a part-time job with a magazine now, I pretty much, for the most part, make my own schedule.
Right.
And to be able to take that step back and recognize that you can have spans of time where no one is waiting on something from you. You don't have to have something done at a very specific time, unless you count lunch and dinner. And even that's flexible. We visited Block Island, Rhode Island last summer and fell right in love with it. It was just a beautiful area, lovely people, tons of boaters around. It was our first real taste of being around a lot of other cruisers who would just dinghy up to our boat and talk to us and say, hey, want to come over for a drink at sunset or something like that? And that was so exciting for us. And we kind of got lost and weren't even paying attention to how long we had been there. And at some point, Gaylen said, how long have we been here anyway? What has it been, about 7 days? And we figured out we'd been there for 25 days.
Wow.
And we had completely lost track of time. And that was amazing for me to realize that we'd gotten to the point where we could just get lost in an area, enjoying it. That's something that a lot of people never afford themselves. And to allow yourself to just be for a little while is a gift I'm really glad we were able to give ourselves.
I think it's a gift anyone can give themselves. I think that's maybe the big thing I would like to impart to people is we're not rich. We don't have a lot of money. Anyone can do this. Or if not this, then whatever is calling them.
Right.
Our big motto is find a way or make a way. And we just do it. We figure out how to do it. And, you don't need a lot to enjoy some really wonderful, wonderful things. I mean, we're watching same sunsets and having the same views as the guy next to us in the $2 million yacht. And we're all on that same level out here.
Allison and Gaylen can be found on YouTube and most social media platforms under the name Sail Bums. We wish them well on their travels and look forward to future updates. I'm Cindy Campbell. Thanks again for joining us, and stay healthy.
Join us again next weekend for Maine Concerns with your Town Square Media News team.